Black and Jill Foster here for a new PB&J card class. And today's class is the first in a series of 3 videos showing different die cutting techniques. And the technique I'll be showing in today's video is off the edge die cutting. And you can see with the samples here where the polar bear, the top portion of that polar bear, extends off the top of the card, but the base is still attached to the card base. And the stamps and dies I've used are Cuddly Joy and Cuddly Winter, and these are exact match stamps and dies by Penny Black. So to begin, I'm working on Neenah Solar White cardstock, and I'm just marking here the halfway point and making my note card. And this is just a tiny little mini card. So 2.5 is the midpoint, and I'm just going to draw a line with my pencil to mark that. Now I'm going to stamp my polar bear image, and I'm using Memento Tuxedo Black ink. I'm going to be coloring this with Copic markers, so that is why I've chosen this ink. I'm stamping this with the Misty just so I can stamp it again if I don't get a clear impression the first time, just because sometimes I just don't press hard enough, and so that's a useful tool, but you would not have to use the Misty for this technique. Next, I'm going to tape my die onto the image, and I'm just using some removable painter's tape to do that. And I'm cutting this using a Sizzix Big Kick, but you can use this technique with whatever die cutting machine that you typically use to cut your dies. I've staggered my cutting plates so that you can see here the top die cutting plate is inserted a little bit further into the machine. And that line that I drew, I will line that up next to the edge of that cutting plate. So the full pressure will only go onto the top portion of the polar bear. And I just slid that into the die cutting machine a little bit further, and now it's a little bit tighter, and I made sure that was exactly straight across that line, and I'm running it through the machine. And you can see once you're done, you can just fold on that score line, and I'll just reinforce that fold with the bone folder, and now I've done my off the edge die cutting. I think these would also make really cute place cards for the holidays or winter, anytime in the winter. So I'm just going to quickly color his scarf. This is very simple coloring using Copic markers, just a little bit of shading with darker color and then a lighter color to blend that out. And I'll list all of the exact colors and all of my supplies used in this video at the end of the video. So I'm just coloring that in. And then add just a little bit of rosy red to his cheeks. And so I colored that, and then I'm just lightening it with the colorless blender on top. Now to do some inking and stamping, I'm using Ranger Archival inks, and I've chosen these just because I like the colors. So the first was Pale Ochre, this is Viridian, and then I'll be using Tree Branch. These are a permanent ink, but like I said, I only chose them because I like the colors for this set of cards. So on the bear, I'm putting that pale ochre color. I don't want the bear to be yellow, but when I put the brown, the tree branch on top, that just warms it up a bit. And then to the background here, I'm using the Viridian color. I'm just applying these with an ink blending tool with a foam pad. I've kind of gently pushed his nose back so I could get right up next to him. And you could put a mask over the top of the bear if you wanted to, but I found I really didn't need to. It's just a very light inking. Now for the snowbank in the front, I'm just trimming this from the Neenah Solar White cardstock. I had drawn that on there just because I'm making multiples of this and I wanted them all to be exactly the same, but you could just freehand cut that with your scissors. I inked that with the pale ochre color, and then I'm adding the tree branch on top, just exactly the same thing that we used for the bear. Now I'm ready to stamp my snowflakes, and these are from the transparent set from Penny Black called Snowbursts. I love this set. These snowflakes are so unique. I'm stamping these in the Misty. Again, I was making multiples of this card, so this made it really easy, but you could just use a typical acrylic block as well. And I stamped one on the top left-hand corner and the bottom right-hand corner. Next, I will add this to my note card, and I added that snowbank with some foam squares, so it's popped up a little bit. And then I will color my creative die. This is the Penny Black Creative Die Greetings, and I'm just coloring that with the same Copic marker that I used on his scarf, so everything coordinates perfectly. And then this, I will just use liquid glue to adhere that to the front of the card. I just put a few dots so that there's enough that all of the main areas stick to the card. I'm just attaching that there at an angle. And to finish this off, all I added were a few self-adhesive pearls. Here's a close-up look at that off-the-edge die cutting. This is a really fun technique that you could use with lots of different dies. And it just adds a fun little twist to a miniature card. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also connect with Penny Black on Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter, as well as our website and blog, and I'll link to all of those directly down below in the YouTube description box. And here's a list of all the supplies used in creating this card.